They're probably enabled that just by the conversations I'm hearing they're having. It's no wonder to me now the way he was. Really, they probably enabled him all these years and not had realistic conversations with him about his behavior. Just let him get on. Just think he's just all these, this boy. Do you think that they put Chris Watts? Do you think Cindy and Ronnie, Chris's parents, do you think they put him on a pedestal? And they're still trying to do that now? They're still trying to do that now, of course. So I want to preempt this podcast by saying that me and my mum have been watching Dave's live stream with Cindy and Ronnie. I let her listen to the live stream with Cindy and Ronnie and also another live stream that he did. My mum is completely surprised. I think that's an understatement that Cindy and Ronnie have any doubt about Chris. She's very, very surprised and can't understand why they're still wondering. In terms of being a shiner, she's not. She's not a shiner. In fact, quite the opposite. But she's not on the what side of the aisle either. She can see that Shanann was probably, a challenge to live with or cohabitate with. But, she's not a shiner. So, she's not on either side of the aisle. And also remember that she's my mom. We don't necessarily have exactly the same opinions. However, she cannot believe that Cindy and Ronnie 4 years later still are in any doubt. Someone just came into the door when did it, and he saw. Dave claims co-workers are involved. So you think Dave, Cindy, and Ronnie, what they did was a comedy show? Comedy gold. So when you saw Dave, Cindy, and Ronnie talking together, you thought that was just pure comedy? These people are. It's not only Chris is delusional. They're all delusional people. Oh, comedy gold. Yes, that's what it is. Horrible myth about what he's guilty of, and they don't know what. They need to do. All of them need to go and seek help, quick. Well, seek. You use the word seek. That's very interesting. And it's funny because, they say that they've accepted what he did, but it's obvious that they haven't really. They can't accept that their little perfect boy that they have raised, and because of their inability to see any kind of faults within him, or where he was going off wrong, they can't accept it. My mum and I enjoyed watching Dave's live stream, interview, discussion, conversation with the Watts. However, we both came to very similar conclusions, even though her opinions are not exactly the same as mine. We both thought that Cindy and Ronnie are still very much in denial. And, when she said it's not my son that did this, it was an alternate force, still not sure of what he did after all these years. I have no doubt of what happened. And I have no doubt that Chris is responsible. So the fact that they still, after all these years, are not sure is something that really, really surprised my mum. She could not believe the things that, Cindy and Ronnie were saying, that they weren't sure. Because my mum is completely sure, just like I am. And, when you realize that his family were found at his workplace, exactly how he claimed that they were, how he'd left them. He was the last man standing, so to speak. My mum was very, very, she could not believe. She just thought, she thought that it was just almost laughable that they're still here so many years later, wondering what he did. And I can completely understand that. And many of my subs will agree. And many people, you know, my subs are not just our supporters, but there's still a lot of our supporters that I have. But there, you know, there's lots of, you know, I've got subs from the other side now, you know, or I have subs that are, or I have people coming to my channel that are from the other side. You know, I'm not from either side. I'm right in the middle. And, you know, as much as I've criticized the R's for certain things, particularly Frankie and the crowd justice and the GoFundMe's and, you know, and as much as I can criticize that, I can also say, look, you know, it's time. It really is time for Cindy and Ronnie to get real with themselves. That's what my mum thinks as well. You know, they've accepted one thing, but they need to accept the entirety of what happened. And I don't think that they're there yet. And maybe they'll never get there. Maybe that's going to take a longer time. But I think that they need to fully accept the entirety of what happened and stop making excuses. That's my opinion. And that's very much my mum's opinion. Even though my mum and me have different opinions on certain things, we have a slightly different opinion on the case of William and Harry and Meghan and that whole thing. But, you know, I think it's time for Cindy and Ronnie, after all these years, we're going, 5 years now, for them to accept the entirety of what happened. And not just the fact that he's there and he's never getting out. They need to accept the entirety of what happened. And though we will never know the full truth, because he's incapable of telling the full truth, they need to accept that whatever happened, he did it all. And it was quite confounding for her that they're still wondering to this day what he actually did and what he didn't do. And I agree with her. You just said what I think is very interesting. You said that you think that Shanann was in love with a certain type of lifestyle and image.
Yeah, she was in love with how the family looked to the outside world. She was working on how it looked rather than how it should be or was.
Do you think she was in love with Chris?
Well, it's hard to tell because people's definition of love
is different.
In her eyes, maybe her love was constructing an image, making sure her family looks perfect to the outside world.
So you think that Shanann was very image conscious?
Yeah. Who plays their life out on the internet like that with cameras everywhere, probably watching you? Only people who are interested in image don't do that.
And you think that Chris Watts was not interested in that?
I don't think he had any interest in it at all. Look at his demeanor when he was on camera. That should tell you everything. So recently, me and my mum have spent a lot of time together. She's been to mine, I've been to hers. We've watched a lot of Netflix. We watched Kai the Hitchhiker. We watched the Laurie Vallows documentary. We watched movies on Netflix and lots of stuff we've watched. We've also listened to music because we've got similar taste in music and we both like rap and urban music, believe it or not. And I'm completely besotted with this rapper that she knew nothing about. He's actually a guy from Europe, but, you know, I won't go into that. And, you know, she really digs his music. So I'm really glad about that. And we've also been, you know, doing a lot of eating and we've been doing, you know, she's always asking me for recipes. And, you know, I had a lovely salad the other day. It was salmon on top of lettuce, chickpeas and tomatoes. And with this lovely dressing that I did. And it was absolutely delicious. I'm really into eating. I mean, I love meat and I'll always eat meat. But right now I'm more into fish and poultry than I am meat. So I'm eating a lot of fish. I'm eating a lot of vegetables. I'm eating a lot of fruits. And, you know, a perfect dinner with meat for me would be a salmon dinner. Or what I really love, if I could be bothered to make it more often, is a Chinese steamed sea bass with rice and with spring onion and ginger. I love that and I'm craving that and I'm going to have that again very soon. Sea bass is probably my favorite fish, but a nice salmon dinner with vegetables. I also love yogurt. I'm a big yogurt eater, and I'll eat yogurt twice a day with some nuts, pecans. So, I like my junk food too. I like burgers. I like French fries. I like crisps. So, we've been doing a lot of talking about recipes and stuff, and she loves my food. So, more than I love hers, to be honest with you. So, and we've been watching a lot of like I say, Netflix and listening to rap music and stuff like that. And I will say that what you heard is very much has been heavily edited to make it more consumption friendly, radio friendly, listener friendly, advertiser friendly. One day I will compile our conversations, and there's more to what we talked about as well that I'm going to put on another podcast soon. But one day I'll probably compile, our conversations, a more unedited version so that you can listen to everything, because I really do understand that, I need to make things as advertiser friendly as possible. So yes, I did heavily edit a lot of what she said. However, you got the gist of, her tone, you got the gist of how she feels, you got the gist of what her opinion is. And like I said, one day I'm going to give you an unedited version of our recordings. So I just wanted to let you know that.